I'd love to welcome our guest today, 2020 OIM and HR Management alumni, Nikki Mastin. Nikki is a talent acquisition associate for Brilliant Earth, one of the fastest growing e-commerce jewelers and a global leader in ethical fine jewelry. So welcome, Nikki. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Super excited to, be talking with everyone about my experience here.
Yeah, so excited to hear about it. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your path to CSU, and how you decided on HR and management as concentrations?
Yeah, definitely. So Colorado, born and raised, so was really excited to kind of stay here and, be at CSU. I had a little bit of a hard time deciding what I wanted to go into at first. I felt like there were, so many different, concentrations and things that you can get into. So was super excited when I started taking some, kind of HR management courses and really felt like it was something that I was drawn to. So during my time here, yeah, like you said, I was HR, OIM. I also had a certificate in entrepreneurship. And so I felt really set up when I was kind of going into the workforce. Obviously, lots of different sides to HR as well. So that was kind of a tricky part too when I was graduating, kind of deciding, what pathway I wanted to take, where I wanted to go in the world of HR. So really realized that talent was something that I loved. I really enjoyed kind of that front end process of getting to speak with candidates and, really setting them up for their best position and getting them in contact with, some of our, internal people. So found this position with Brilliant Earth, and it's been really great so far. I've been really loving, being in our talent acquisition side.
Well, great. We always love when our alumni are in places they love. So you kind of mentioned the multiple sides of things, and our topic is like talent acquisition, HR. What does that even mean as a career path? Can you provide a little bit of context as to the different areas within?
Definitely. Yeah. So like I said, HR has, many different sides of it. We actually have a larger HR team here at Brilliant Earth. And, some of our people are in, HR VP positions, so our business partners. We have some people in onboarding and our, payroll side. So it really just kind of depends on what sector of HR you want to get into. Happy to dive a little bit deeper into talent acquisition though. So I'm a talent acquisition associate here at Brilliant Earth. And so my, main part is really kind of finding talent, screening them, putting them through the interview process, and then handing them over to our onboarding team once they get hired. So a lot of it has to do with, job posting, coming up with job descriptions, posting those to all of our external sites, lots of sourcing and, outreach to, potential candidates, and really just getting to walk them through, what our positions entail, and lots of internal side as well. So the external piece is working with candidates. The internal piece is, working with our other business partners, seeing, what our needs are for our showroom staffing, looking at staffing levels, kind of the payroll side and getting to determine, salary, things like that. So lots of different components, I would say. And, it's a great position if you want to, have some things that you're doing consistently every day, but, your day is never the exact same. I have career fairs that I go to, Indeed events, job posting, like I said, and the majority is really just being able to speak with candidates and kind of help them through that process of getting hired.
Love it. So can you tell us a little bit more about your daily life? What does it look like? I see you're at home right now. Are you all remote? Like, what does that look like? Are you traveling other than to career fairs? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I would love to speak to that. So as of right now, Brilliant Earth, we kind of have a hybrid schedule here. So our office is located in Denver and Cherry Creek. We obviously have quite a few other showrooms across the US, which is fun, but our corporate teams are mainly out of Denver and San Francisco. So I'm able to go in whenever I want, which is really nice. I try and go in, 1 to 2 times a week just to be able to meet with candidates if we do in-person videos or in-person interviews rather than video interviews, and also get to speak with, a lot of our other team members. So yes, currently at home though, most of my time is spent here. And it's really nice just having that flexibility of being able to even just go to a coffee shop and kind of take a call from there or, do some sourcing, things like that. I think it kind of keeps the day exciting. It can be hard when you're doing the same thing over and over every day in the same spot. So really try and, kind of jazz it up a bit each week. And yeah, in terms of day to day, like I mentioned, there's a lot of the same things that you're doing, but it's never the exact same just because you have different candidates in process, working with different hiring managers and have those types of meetings. As an associate now, I actually started as a talent acquisition coordinator when I first got here. And then at my 1 year mark, was promoted to an associate. So took on some other things like reporting. We dive deep into, our sourcing efforts, where a lot of our candidates are coming from, our monthly metrics and department breakdown. So, what departments we're hiring most for, hiring plans, things like that for, upcoming quarters, and then also get to do some of our social media outreach as well. So get to, do our employee-led Instagram and creating content there. We also do a lot of LinkedIn outreach since we get most of our applicants there. So really wanting to engage with candidates on that platform, blog posts, life pages, things like that. So definitely different every day, just depending on, what section I'm working on, if we have reports to do, employer branding, things like that. But I would say it's a really great position just to be able to, be able to connect with others, but it also has an individual component of being able to kind of manage your own time and kind of work individually as well.
Awesome. So I see a message came through the chat, and it actually aligns with one of the questions I had for you as well. So do you have a hard time finding talent? Can you talk about how you do go about finding talent? What does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. I would say it ebbs and flows. A lot of times I would say for more entry-level positions, obviously we look to a lot of students. So, during, December grads and graduation in the spring definitely can go up and pretty easy to reach out to students who are looking for those positions. But, currently within the past couple of months, a little bit trickier. And I would say, like I mentioned, we do a lot of sourcing and outreach. So a main part of my day too is, being able to do Boolean searches on, LinkedIn and Indeed. Those are the main ones that we use, as well as Handshake. And then trying to look into other job boards and things. I actually am transitioning to be a regional partner, which is really exciting. So I'll be taking over kind of our Southwest region and working with, our regional manager and a lot of our customer experience managers within those showrooms. So really partnering with them to, do on the ground recruitment as well. So really, kind of reaching out to schools, seeing, different ways that we can get involved with them, different job boards, really wanting to try and attract different types of talent too. So we do focus a lot on student recruitment, but also focus on, other types of, candidates from different backgrounds, may have not gone to school, but still have a lot of relevant experience. So diving kind of a lot deeper into those specific job markets and how we can best reach all of them as well, which can be a little tricky sometimes, but definitely just good to kind of expand your horizons and really look into a lot of different platforms.
All over the place. Yes. So you mentioned you started as like a coordinator and now you're an associate and now you're going to be taking over. Can you talk about the career path, like the trajectory, what that looks like within what you're doing, but maybe within the industry as well, what people can kind of expect within talent acquisition?
Totally. Yeah, I think it really depends on, the company and the industry that you're in. Like I mentioned, I'm technically in retail. Brilliant Earth, we are a sustainable fine jewelry company. So a lot of what I'm doing is hiring for our showroom positions as well as our corporate sides and really getting to kind of work with all of our team members there. So when I started as a coordinator, it was a lot of, setting up those interviews, taking phone screens and, partnering with my direct manager and supervisor to, kind of see exactly what I needed to be doing, since this was kind of my first real position outside of, getting my degree. So really just kind of learning the ins and outs of, how to source properly, how to do effective phone screens, how to really determine if they're going to be a best fit. And then as I transitioned to an associate this year, like I mentioned, taking on, some more deep dives into, looking into our reporting and, kind of how to attract that talent and a lot more strategy focused, I would say. Now kind of looking into my next, position. I talk a lot with my supervisor. I would say that's my one piece of advice is to, really utilize if you have one-to-ones or, taking time to reach out to other people kind of within, your company or even your industry just to see their path, how they got to where they are, and really just seeing what types of projects and things you can take on. I really this whole year was mentioning to my supervisor that I really enjoyed kind of, partnering with our showrooms and we're growing quite a bit. So I actually worked a lot with her on, what the trajectory might look like. This is actually a new position for us that we're going to be making as a regional. So it wasn't something exactly laid out for me. I think as we continue growing, it's something that will continue to expand as I, take on more. And so would definitely recommend just being able to kind of have that open communication and be really transparent with what you enjoy, because then you can start to take on those different types of tasks that will lead to, potentially what you'll be doing in the future. So really excited to be, kind of taking on that regional side and, kind of having my own region to work with, and definitely takes on its own new challenges and presents itself a little bit differently than what I'm doing now. But I think if you have a good support system and, good group that you're working with, it definitely is manageable, and, it's a fun and exciting challenge.
Oh, 1,000%. And it's totally about the team as well. Like I've heard it's said people don't leave jobs necessarily, they leave managers. So all about a great team. And talk about initiative. That's amazing that you're getting to create a position.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely been really nice. Like I said, just kind of being able to decide where I want to go. And, not every company, has that, some do have specific, growth paths and plans and things. And so I think it's really important just to, as you're looking into companies and, different industries and things, kind of looking at, maybe people who work there, some of their growth paths. When I was looking at Brilliant Earth, I saw that my manager kind of started in an HR generalist position and then moved up into kind of the talent side. And then now is, a manager. Our director of talent, actually, she's only a couple years older than me. She just turned 27 and she's our director. And so she got in with the company right when we were kind of starting this side. And so it really just kind of depends on the company you get into and really just seeing, how you can grow, which I think is another kind of big thing to start looking at as you're, looking into potential positions that you want to get into.
Awesome. I don't know. So how did you even get connected with Brilliant Earth? Like, can you tell us a little bit about your career path? I do remember you were always in our office, the Career Management Center.
Yeah.
How did you get connected? What did that look like? Job searching, internships, all that?
Yeah, this is kind of fun to talk about for me because I actually had a pretty hard time finding a position after graduation. I feel like, I was definitely on top of it, starting to look into stuff, well into, my final semester. I was a 2020 December grad. So, beginning of the semester, looking into things and was rejected by a lot of companies, not because of I didn't have the skills, but just because, maybe a position got filled before I could start or, lots of different reasons. I feel like, it's not always you. It just kind of depends on the needs of the company. And so I actually took a position with a different company. I was a part of the mentoring program that CSU puts on actually, which was great. And was talking to my mentor, was like, I've been ghosted by a lot of companies. I haven't moved to final rounds, it was really taking a toll on me. And she was like, well, the company that I'm working for, we have, this side of it, you'd have to start as like an inside sales representative, but then can move down to HR down the line. And I was kind of desperate at the time. And so I, went through the whole interview process, got, an offer and I took it right away just because I felt like, it was the end of December. I had just graduated. I was like, I need a position. And thinking about it more and more, my start date was coming up. And every time I thought about this role, I was like, I don't want to do it. Like, I just couldn't see myself in this industry. It was an industry kind of selling power tools. And I think it's a really great way to get started. But just for me personally, I had, no personal connection. Just like every time I thought about it, like got sick to my stomach. And so a few days before my start date, I actually called and was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not starting. Like, it's not right for me. And obviously that was so hard to do because I was like, I don't have a backup. I don't know what I'm going to do. But it just didn't feel right. And, they were very understanding and still have a relationship with, my mentor to this day, which is great. But ended up browsing Handshake actually and found Brilliant Earth. I did some, searches and it seemed like a really interesting position. So I applied right then and there and, got my, phone screen and really just enjoyed kind of being able to talk about something I am connected to. I mean, I love jewelry. I love, kind of being in a sustainable brand. And that was something I always wanted to do. So this was kind of a perfect match for me and ended up, getting the offer and worked out so much better. So my piece of advice is even if you, don't have a lot of offers, maybe are getting rejected by a lot of places, you will find somewhere that you want to work, even if it's just temporary for a little bit before you find exactly what you want. I think it's important to listen to your gut and, so you will find something that you are really interested in and passionate about. So glad that I didn't take the other job and, kind of ended up here. I actually had never heard of Brilliant Earth before and had never, known anyone in the company. So really kind of started from scratch applying and, it's been a really great experience so far and just really glad that it ended up working out.
What a story.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, yes,
Yeah.
it's always best to trust your gut. And those are very two different industries. And I know even thinking back to when I was a senior in the College of Business, just everybody seemed to have positions. And I was like, I feel like I'm on top of it, but I don't have a role yet.
Yeah.
And it does all work out. Like I came to the Career
Yes.
Management Center, was working with our counselors. It works out. They're very, it's great to talk to our counselors. So students that
Yeah.
might not feel like they have the position nailed down yet, come on in.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I would recommend just utilizing your resources. I think, it really helped me. I worked as a mock interview specialist, but I also did some of them before doing that. And I think that really helped me just be able to speak to, the position that I was applying for. So when I did find something that I really wanted, I was able to kind of utilize those skills. So I would definitely recommend, talking with your counselors. They have lots of different job opportunities that you may not even know about. And so I think that also could be really helpful if you're, kind of stuck.
Yeah. So thinking back to your time at CSU, you mentioned you were a mock interview specialist, you did some of those yourself. Was there anything else, coursework, internships, clubs and orgs, anything that still affects or you rely on today that you learned back then?
Yeah, I would say I was very involved when I was at CSU. I think that something that someone told me when I was first going into college is, you get in or you get out what you put in. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna, just try as many things as I can. And I have some of my best memories from, the clubs I've joined. I was in WEBA, I was in an honor society, I was in SHRM. And so I think just trying out some different things, I met so many people who got me connected to other people. And, even through SHRM, I didn't know if I wanted to be in HR quite yet. So I started going and, just seeing other people and what their passions were really kind of helped me decide that a part of HR I wanted was talent. And so I would definitely recommend, just joining them. A lot of times clubs have, free nights where you can go and just like check it out. And, I'm sure you'll find some that you actually want to, continue working towards and keep doing. And then I also was a part of some other different types of internships through CSU and outside of CSU. So I think that those are really great too, just to get your foot in the door, try it out. It's really hard to know exactly what you want to do if you haven't done it quite yet. And so I worked with Madwire and did some parts of HR and realized that's kind of not the side I wanted to go down. I also worked, in the Career Management Center, which I really enjoyed, like interviewing people, helping them through that. And that really helped me know that I kind of wanted to go down this side. I also worked at University Advancement more as a work study, but just learned a lot of different things about, different departments and sides and things. And I think it's helpful just to get that background as you're getting into a position so you can speak to them, even if they're just, short-term things, or even if they have to be unpaid. I think that it really just is kind of helpful to get your foot in the door and start learning about it as soon as possible.
All over the place. How did you have time?
Looking back, I don't know. Honestly, you kind of just like get through it. And then, it's really nice now, you don't have as much homework and actually enjoy it. So I think, looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, 4 years seems so long, but it goes by in a blink. And so I'm really glad that I was able to kind of, expand myself during my couple of years at CSU too.
Yes, very important. Get your foot in the door, try out new things, figure out, oh, I really like this. Oh, I really don't like this. That's what it's all about. So 20 minutes has flown by already. So I'm going to open it up to audience questions. If there's anybody that has a question from the people that are live attending, go ahead and unmute yourself or send it in the chat. And while you're thinking of those, Nikki, I have one more question. What is one thing that you wish you knew before transitioning from college to the professional world?
I would say just be confident in yourself. I think something that a lot of people that, I've spoken to, even just, coming into their first positions and things, is just kind of that, oh my gosh, I've never been in a role before. I don't know what I'm doing, but, they are hiring you for a reason and see potential in you. So you just need to kind of, show up, ask questions and try your best. And that's kind of how you learn is just getting through it. And, even if you fail, you'll get feedback for the next time. And so I think that that's something that I was always scared of, not doing well or failing. And obviously have kind of grown out of that and realized, it's okay. It's your first time trying it. You're not going to be perfect. And just really try your best. And I think that that's all you can do. And you'll continue to grow as you, do your day to day. It really, something comes at you every day.
That is great advice. I need that myself. All right. Anybody from the live audience have any questions for Nikki while we have her?
I have a question. First, thanks so much for coming to chat with us. It sounds like you have a lot of just great experience with like interviewing in general, from like undergrad as a mock interview specialist to like what you were doing in the coordinator role, what you're currently doing. I'm curious what's like the ultimate, like if you could give one piece of advice to people just starting an interview process, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do interview quite a bit on a day-to-day and would love to share some advice. I would say just be really open with, what you're looking for, what your long-term goals are. I think a lot of the time, we're interviewing you just as much as you're interviewing us. So take that time to, obviously go through the full interview, answer the questions as, best as you can, but also take time at the end when they ask, if you have any questions, to really make sure you come prepared and kind of interview them as well, making sure that it's a good fit for you. I wish that I would have done this a little bit more with my first kind of job that I took, because, as I started to get more of the offer details and everything, I realized that it just wasn't going to align with my long-term goals. And so I think that's one of my biggest pieces is just, come prepared, understand, a little bit of background. Some great places to look are, LinkedIn, looking at, current members who work there, some of their profiles, really being able to speak to some, specific questions that you have about, what you're going to be doing in your day-to-day, what does the growth plan look like? Do team members, have a good culture there? How are you going to fit in? And so I would really just recommend kind of having those ready to go and really being able to speak to that during the interview as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
That was excellent advice. All right. Anybody else have any questions while we have Nikki? I can think of more, but I could talk to Nikki all day long.
Yeah. Happy to answer anything else too, whether it be, it doesn't have to be just for interviewing, but happy to answer anything else about, CSU experience, or, even if you're looking for jobs, what to start looking for, how to kind of pin those down, because as you know, there's lots of different places to look for jobs. So I think that it can be a little daunting when you're looking, but yeah, just keeping your options open, checking LinkedIn, Indeed, Handshake. I think that there's so many different platforms that sometimes you forget about them. So it's nice to kind of just have a refresher of, different places to look, even just different job boards, like I mentioned, as like a person who is looking for job boards to reach out to, even just Googling, I want to be in, retail, or I want to be in marketing, and looking at like specific, maybe Colorado marketing job boards. I'm sure a lot of, specific companies will be posting to that, and might be a little bit more refined in your job search, which can be really helpful. So you're not sifting through, thousands of postings when you're looking for them. But yeah, that's something that I think I wish I would have done a little bit more and kind of taken more time to look when I was first starting out too.
Yeah, we use Handshake. That's our like main platform. And that everything that is in Handshake is like approved through CSU's Career Center. So yeah, that's where we mainly use, but there are so many other resources for research and, reaching out to alumni, connections, seeing that. Yeah.
I see another question came through. Morgan said, what advice do you wish you received to yourself when you were an undergrad student? Oh, that's a good one. I think kind of going back to my piece of advice that I have kind of now for myself is just really, not being so hard on yourself. I mean, college is hard, there's a lot of things that you're going to be doing. And I know that it seems kind of daunting at first, but I really wish someone would have told me it's going to be okay. It's going to work out. I recently saw this quote that said, there's no wrong decisions. It's just a decision, and your life continues from there. And so I think even if I had continued, down the path of maybe taking that other role, there could have been other ways that I could have gotten involved and really enjoyed it. And so I think looking back at that too, every time I'm kind of faced with, oh, I don't know what to do, it's kind of like, okay, make a decision, do it, and, kind of go from there. If you don't like it, you can always switch. And if you do like it, you can continue to find ways to grow. And so that is something that I wish I kind of had. I think it's a lot of stress looking for a role, a lot of stress not knowing what you want to do for the rest of your life, but just know, like, even if you make a decision now, it doesn't mean that you can't change your mind down the road, or, go back to school, maybe get a new certificate. There's so many different things that you can't possibly know everything. And so just kind of taking it day by day and really, reflecting every day on where you want to continue to go is something that I'm still kind of working on, but I think it's really helpful, within all stages of life.
That is great advice. I'm taking that quote. I need to write that down.
I know, I saw that. I was like, wow, I love this. I'm gonna implement it every day. It's been
Yeah, I
helpful,
love that.
so.
Because life moves on. It can be stressful. I remember the days. It's not easy. It's a good time to be a student. There's many people like Nikki hiring out there.
Yes,
But yeah, just taking the time to find what suits you and your values and aligns with your long-term goals is super important.
definitely.
Awesome. Well, if there is any final questions, feel free to unmute yourself or send them in the chat. But Nikki, if students are interested in chatting more, can they connect with you on LinkedIn? What's the best way to
Yeah.
learn more about Brilliant Earth or the industry in general?
Yeah, happy. I can put my email in here as well. Sorry, can't type and talk at the same time, apparently. Just Nikki Mastin06@yahoo.com. If you have any questions related to any, Brilliant Earth roles, I'm hiring for quite a few out of our Denver office, actually. So would love for you to take a look, and, if you have any questions, happy to, answer them, but also happy to answer outside of Brilliant Earth if you have any, questions on transitioning into the workforce, once you do get a role, how to navigate, negotiating for yourself and, being able to, be an advocate for yourself. I think that's something that I reached out to a lot of my mentors when I was first starting. So would love to kind of share knowledge as you're kind of continuing to take these steps as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for offering that. Students definitely take advantage. Nikki is wonderful, can provide great advice. Yeah, just finding mentors and people special in your life will help go so far.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know that these are meant to be quick, fast recordings of events, so we will go ahead and end. But thank you all for attending, and Nikki, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your advice and your stories, and we look forward to seeing Brilliant Earth on campus in the future.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and if you have any other questions, after the fact, definitely feel free to reach out to me. But so nice speaking to you all, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.